We all know that Dubai's real estate market is at an all-time boom right now. But today I'm not here to discuss about how fancy Dubai regulatory system is, how fancy Dubai is in terms of real estate investments. Today, as a legal advisor, I'm here to tell you that how you can protect your Dubai properties or UAE real estate via different mediums and the different legalities involved in it. Why I want to discuss this? Because I see so many issues day to day, and I think that there are certain steps as far as owners or expats living in Dubai, residents here, you will be able to protect your property and you will be able to save a lot of money, time, energy later on. I'm Shireen Kapoor and this is my YouTube channel where I discuss openly, candidly about everyday day-to-day issues in terms of UAE real estate market, legal aspects, commercial aspects of it, because I deal with them regularly. Let's dive into the first thing, which is freehold versus leasehold. Now, this is the ownership structures that you need to be wary of. A freehold property in designated areas, such as you can see it on the map in front of me, is very much legitimate for you as a foreign owner or as an expat for you to own in these areas. Like, it's absolutely legitimate. You will get 100% ownership rights. You can transfer these rights as well as transfer the property as any other place in the world that you would think you have property. The other is leasehold. Now, leasehold properties are essentially the GCC nationals can own it, and along with obviously local Emiratis, they can own that, and only those people can buy in those particular areas. But what you can do is lease those areas. For example, there are some communities like, say, Dubai Investment Park. It's a mixed community, right? So where you can have leases as well as you can have freehold. Now, for leases, we need to know that you can have a certain period. You obviously get the lease at a better price. You make a lot of money in terms of returns, etc., depending on the location and the end goal for which you're using the lease property. But this is what I want to tell you, like freehold versus leasehold, the rights will change, the taxes will change, the service charges will change. So a lot depends on the kind of ownership you are structuring. Before it even getting into, what kind of land you're buying, what kind of property you're looking at, make sure you have that documentation of what you are getting into. Now, whether you're buying off plan or whether you're buying a ready unit, doesn't matter. You need to understand the process. Will go through something called a body, which is Dubai Land Department. Now, why Dubai Land Department has its other segment called RERA, and why you need to be aware of the processes involved is different for secondary and different for off-plan. Whereas the developer is the person who is mainly doing everything for off-plan properties with the DLD. In secondary, you should also be wary of so many things. Say, for example, there is a block on the property, and on the day of transfer, by the way, I've seen that as well here. On the day of the transfer, you will get to know that there may be a court order, but which you could have actually been, maybe the situation would have not occurred if you would have done a title verification before. So these two things of how the Dubai Land Department in these two things, resale as well as in off-plan works, is very important. Now, one more thing I want to add here, in off-plan, the DLD is required. The RERA law says that you should put the money in an escrow account. This is also very important. Escrow is like a trust account, and I talk about it in a number of my videos. But you just want to make sure that wherever you are putting money with the developer, do a reputational check, do a due diligence on the developer, on the company you are putting money for, on the escrow account, and all the project details that you can think of. Especially review your sale purchase agreement. I often also encounter situations in which, whether it's off-plan or whether it's resale, I see a lot of people have hidden costs which they were not made wary of by maybe the broker working on their case, or maybe just the developer themselves. Sometimes there is resale from the developer as well, and then there are hidden charges. That is the service charges, maybe not paid. Maybe the developer never issued the NOC. Recently, I had one matter in which I understood a situation which is unique for me as well, is that there was an off plan from developer, and the developer had already leased the place to another person. Now that tenancy did not work well, and there were unpaid DWA bills and utility bills by the tenant, which again came to the new owner because it was transferred, right? So such issues are there in the market, which you can, I think, be a little more aware about, more knowledgeable about. And by the way, I do run a community in which I share regularly such updates. So if you want to join my community, you can click in the link in the description box. Back from it, I want to also talk about the things in secondary that you can have in your agreement, which will safeguard you in the long run. Now, I have done a detailed video in which I discuss about the whole process of walking you through the sale purchase when you're buying a ready unit from maybe some private seller or anybody. Now, when you're doing that, one of the key things I always tell my clients is that in the SPA, make sure you get an additional time. Now, at least 15 to 20 days to 30 days additional time to extend if there is any third-party delay. When we say third-party delay, could be an NOC from the developer, could be an NOC from the utilities, could be an NOC maybe for the service charges, could be any other, could be bank, could be Dubai Land Apartments delay. So could be any reason for which it's beyond your human control and there are third parties involved in it. So always have an automatic extension of 30 days mentioned in your additional terms. Any term you feel which is good in your case, which can be customized, ask your broker, can I add this? Ask your lawyer, can I add this? Can I confirm with the buyer or the seller or the other party to add this? Just make sure you're wary of the project, because I don't know what the penalty looks like. Say, for example, if you are not able to fulfill the obligation, your security deposit, obviously the buyer is giving the 10% security deposit to the seller's agent or the seller's broker, which is mandatory. If they do, that amount in question is the claim that the other party can file on you if there's any delay for them, if there's any compensation for them, if there's any loss for any reason for them. So that amount they will come after. So it's very important, have everything in writing. If you're a mortgage client, if you're going to apply for a mortgage, and then make sure the valuation is mentioned. Make sure the mortgage approvals subject to XYZ conditions are mentioned. And make sure that you can safely say that if my mortgage is not approved, I'm going to get, backtrack from this agreement and there's nothing I can do about it. So that nobody comes after this amount or after you for any smallest of error which is beyond your control. So the SPA can have additional terms which need to be mentioned. At the same time, when real estate agents and brokerages are working into this, and I always say they put a lot of effort in the entire transaction, hats off to them in this competitive market. What you need to understand for yourself also to protect your rights, have the claim amount that you are subject to take from the buyer or the seller mentioned in it. Even irrespective of there is a dispute, the deal was cancelled, at least mark some amount for the hard work that you've put in. So all parties should be, fairly equitably protected. As I spoke about the SPA in the secondary market, I want to also discuss about how to review your sale purchase agreement. I've done detailed videos on that, but today because there's a candid conversation wherein I would just want to open my heart and the things that are coming to my mind each day when I, see those cases happening. Whenever you're doing a sale purchase agreement with the developer, and there is something called delay of handover, there is delay in pay, service charges are there which will be accrued, will it come to you? You should know about this. Okay, if there is delay in handover, what is the compensation you're getting? What is the mechanism of reaching that compensation? Are you going to discuss with the land department? All those nitty-gritty details need to be reviewed so that mentally you are prepared. If you have estimated an rent that is going to start in 2029 but has not started and goes up to 2031, then that period is after all your loss, because that's your money. So you should know what you're getting in return of that. How is the developer gonna pay the late payment fee? When are you gonna get it? Are you gonna get it on handover? Are you actually gonna get it during the process? All this is very important. I really say that cancel projects, you can't imagine, but there are cancel projects too. and there is a way to recover the money that you've put. Although it will depend on the construction situation of the project, but yet just being wary of what's happening throughout the development process, just maybe having site visits or maybe just going to the developer, checking with them what's going on, because sometimes you lose the touch with agent that sold that unit to you. So all this due diligence and this active proactiveness needs to come from you. Another situation, as I always say, is that mostly owners are foreign owners who are not even here in the UAE, and what they have done is given their POS. Now, whenever you're issuing your power of attorney, which is your general power of attorney for a particular property to one person, you need to know that power of attorney should have everything defined in it. Don't give blanket power of attorney. Rather, I would suggest you to understand the English version of your POA as well before signing it. And you have this right, by the way, to check from the notary from which you are giving the POA, to ask him if what's the English translation of this, etc. And just at the same time get it English translated. Why this will help in the long run? There will be no misuse of your POA. I know cases where people have collected rent on behalf of the landlords but have never been, they have never actually given that rent to the landlord. Neither the landlord knew that the attorney had the right to collect the rents. So I'm just trying to tell you that in this world, all such situations happen, and until they happen with us, we can't really imagine or foresee. But just being a smart investor is also as much as, it's your hard-earned money, and if you are investing smartly and looking into ROIs and rental returns, etc., also make sure you protect this. Last thing I want to touch base today is what happens if you are no more. That is where the will comes into play. How the process will ultimately roll out to your family, your legacy, how they're gonna go is dependent on the will that you have in UAE. Believe me, property in UAE, have a will simultaneously in UAE, or have a foundation by the property if you have multiple assets. Depending on, actually that's a separate topic, but depending on your goal. But in my understanding, if you don't do it, Sharia comes into play, and there is no automatic role of survivorship in Sharia. That means your property will not automatically go to your kids, your beneficiaries, etc. It will be at freeze at some point, and till the time, say approximately 6 to 8 months process, till the time we are not able to get the probation certificate, all of that, it will be succession certificate, it will be an issue. So might as well make their life also easy while you are there is by having a will. And if you have a spouse, make a mirror will. The spouse also has assets in her name or his name. So it's always, best to protect your asset while you're buying it as well, and just to be knowing about what your rights are and how the process is going to look like. What you can do is talk to legal experts, talk to people in the consulting field, because consulting is one of the major business here, is because there is so much of consulting that is needed in such countries wherein you are not aware of your rights, you're not living usually, maybe you're coming and you're going, but you need to have some expert by your side to walk you through all these processes, to do the due diligence for you, to draft for you, to have your POA. Number of issues you can think of. But for me, I just try to spread as much knowledge as possible related to something that I always encounter. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like more such videos, do subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this video with anybody you think it is useful for, and do follow me on my other handles so that you are updated about day-to-day information, especially the WhatsApp community that we have. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.